Hey guys, I just found my golden idea. My name is Julian. I've been a solo developer for the past 2 years, and I finally think I found the idea that's gonna help me create an app that gets 1 million downloads. And here's how I got it. I did it by combining two flawed markets. I was looking last week at habit tracking apps, and the main negative point I found from them was that users felt disoriented when they were starting off using that app, because they didn't have a set of habits that they wanted to track. They simply had a goal of getting a better life, implementing habits that would help them reach there. So what they really need is a personalized template of habits. But how do you do that? On the other end, I was looking at the category of personality tests. Remember 16 personalities, the INTJ, ENTJ kind of thing? Where you'd have to take like a 20-30 minute test, get to see your personality type, told you what famous person had the same type, how you typically think about things, but it left an empty space after that. What actionable tips did I really get from that? And so I want to combine these two, personality test and habit tracking. One solves the other. The habit tracking apps lack some sort of personalized template, while the personality test personalize it to you, but don't really have any continuation or actionable tips. By combining the two, we can create habit templates to follow based on your personality type. And this is what I'm going to build in this video. I'm going to actually make the quiz itself. First, looking at successful people's habits, go from there looking at CEOs, academics, athletes, what they do in a day, categorize them in the way they think or the way they behave. And this will allow me to create a quiz to categorize the user into 5 categories so that you can follow that successful person, that high performance person's habits. Let's get going. So we said we will be building our quiz, but first I wanted to reverse engineer what daily routine people would actually want and how to categorize these type of habits. I first looked at examples of daily routines from influencers, artists, academics, CEOs, and athletes. The type of people you'll generally say are the top of their fields, high performing, from who you can actually learn from, and how we could categorize them such that somebody that uses the app could get inspired from their daily habits and become a better version of themselves by incorporating some of their habits into their daily lives. Some examples we have are Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos in the CEOs, Michael Phelps, Serena Williams, Usain Bolt, Pablo Picasso in artists, Albert Einstein in academics, and then influencers slash productivity experts are typically not the influencers you'd be thinking of, but people that are well known in the productivity space that really optimize for certain things. I'm thinking of Tim Ferriss, the author of 4-Hour Workweek, Tony Robbins, Ali Abdaal, Cal Newport. I think this incorporates a good range of successful people in different fields. And I wanted to analyze how I would categorize them in 5 archetypes. So as great as the MBTI test for the 16 personalities is, it's a lot of different personalities and the test is very long. I want people to be able to take the test in 5 to 10 minutes and figure out what archetype they are and who they're similar to, so that they incorporate certain habits from these high performers into their own lives. So after looking at these examples of daily routines, actually dive into maybe one of them. So CEOs, Jeff Bezos, he wakes up naturally without an alarm. And you can compare that to other people in the same field, like Elon Musk, that wakes up really early at 7 a.m. Or Bill Gates, again, 7 a.m. Even though they're all CEOs of big companies, they are not in the same archetype. One will wake up naturally, one will wake up very early based on their habits. So these are the 5 archetypes that I wanted to use that really looks beyond just the field at which they excel at, but embodies their approach to life and their approach to having a very successful and meaningful life. Using similar language as the 16 personalities, I chose these 5, which are mindful nurturer, dynamic connector, curious explorer, serene organizer, and imaginative innovator. I think these 5 categories really help break down the different approaches to daily habits. And if we dive into one, for example, the mindful nurturer, so these are people that prioritize physical health and exercise. You'd imagine a lot of athletes are in there, but it's actually beyond just athletes. You get famous CEOs and influencers in there, such as Oprah Winfrey, Tony Robbins, Andrew Huberman, the neuroscientist. And so you would not maybe expect this approach from non-athletes. For me, myself, I associate myself a lot to mindful nurture, have a very holistic approach to life. Then you get the dynamic connector. You get Gary Vee, Richard Branson, Beyonce. They emphasize social interactions. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but you get the idea. This is very basic approaches to life. A user going through the quiz could then see which category they belong to, what kind of successful person is also in the same category as them, and what daily habits they have that they could easily incorporate into their life. Remember, I'm trying to solve the idea of having a habit template. The habit template to get more credential is based on a successful person in the same category as you. And so getting into the question, I already said that I wanted to make the quiz rather fast, make the onboarding maximum 5 to 10 minutes, so that they can get their category and then start incorporating habits into their life. Speed is the name of the game in app onboarding. And so I did not want to make the entry level to be too high. And so this is the final version of the 5 archetype quiz that I came up with. The questions range from it's your day off, what's your ideal morning? You get 5 different options to, in your opinion, what is the best way to solve a problem? So very generalist, could be answered by absolutely anyone. And this is exactly what you want. Simple questions that make you think and that say a lot about your personality. You need a lot of density of information while also being accessible to a lot of people. I took the test myself. I actually happen to be more of a mindful nurturer, like I predicted before. I've tested out with a bunch of my friends and they either fall into serene organizer and dynamic connector. I haven't met a curious explorer. I don't know what that says about my friend group. But the next thing we want to do is to make this available to other people. So we're going to use Google Form, which is completely free. I've input my 10 questions that categorize the person going through the quiz into 5 archetypes that we set before. All the questions here, multiple choice. You get the questions, you get the potential answers A, B, C, D, E. They all associate to the 5 archetypes. Ideally, I didn't want people to be counting their own questions. For example, if you get a lot of answers in A, that means you're more likely to be a mindful nurturer. You want people to get the results immediately. Unfortunately, with the free tools such as Google Form, it's very difficult to do that. So I had to use Zapier in order to fetch the responses of the quiz from Google Forms that's connected to a Google Sheets right here. And Zapier will then run some Python code that I have right here. First, you find out what's the most common answer category. Like I said before, if you have a lot of answers that start with A, that means you're more likely to be a mindful nurturer. Deal with the edge case of having multiple most common answers. For example, you have 5 types, 10 questions. That means you could technically get 2 answers per category. In that case, I'm going to just choose a random one, because I don't really have a better way to do that right now. And depending on your results, you'll get an email that tells you what are the key traits of that category, and actually a link to the landing page, which I haven't shown you guys yet because it's supposed to be the next devlog. Now I am using the free version of Zapier, so I have only like 100 tasks available to me. This diagram right here, which they call zaps, has 2 tasks, running the Python code and sending the email. That means, unfortunately for you guys, if you want to try the quiz, a bit less than 50 spots left for you to actually get the email back. But if you want to take the quiz regardless, I'll leave the link in the description. If you don't get an email, that means that I already used my free tier Zapier. You can just add up, again, what's the most common answer, A, B, C, D, E, and that directly correlates to your archetype if you're really curious. So in the next devlog, I'm going to show you guys how I made my landing page in Framer, which is a really cool platform, an alternative to Wix and other such no-code web building platforms. I found that the designs on Framer were the best, so I just went with that. It's going to be simply a landing page that connects to the quiz. Right now, I just have that. This is purely for market validation. Ideally, I get a couple responses and see if people like the quiz so far. Are they interested to have more? Even create a waiting list for the app. Again, I haven't even built the app yet. This is very important to, once you theoretically found an opportunity for yourself, it would be great to validate it before even building the app. Like this, you don't waste any time. Stay tuned for next week. I'll see you guys later.